everyone, and welcome to Sip Happens. Life's too short not to sip and tell, where love, travel, food, and a little bit of chaos all come together.
It's Ben and Dustin. We're partners in life, travel buddies, and occasional food critics.
And we're bringing you real stories from our 16 years together. The good, the messy, hilarious, and sometimes fucked up moments.
We'll be sharing everything from how we met to what it's like starting over in a new city, our thruple journey, our favorite eats, and the random adventures we somehow survive.
Plus, we'll be taking your story requests. So if you want the real behind-the-scenes scoops, you're in the right place.
We hope you've got a drink.
Because we've got one.
Sounds like it's time to get comfy. Now let's get into it.
Hi, friends. Okay, so y'all know the drill by now. Hopefully, we're sipping and we're ready to tell. So what are we sipping on? A Trader Joe's fave, jalapeno limeade, with just a little itty-bitty baby splash of tequila.
Just a tiny splash.
We're starting off with something that has annoyed us this week, and we're not here for it, aka not today. So, let me start. We were out recently, and there was a table next to us, and the boy, he was real cute. The girl, she was okay. Anyways, and he looked at her and was like, "Hey, baby, do you mind if I send a text to my friend?" And she was like, "2. That's all you can do." I'm sorry, what? No, that... No, I wish a bitch would. That's not okay. She had been in the bathroom like multiple times. He could have texted whoever he wanted to, but he waited until she got back, which was kind of weird. But that's not... If Dustin told me you have 3 texts to send, it would not go over well.
At all.
And I get when you're on a date, like, you should give that person your full attention. I totally understand that, and I do. But also, when they go to the bathroom, that's when you can send your text or do whatever you want to do.
And I don't think they were on like their first date, so they should be comfortable enough in their relationship to be like, "Hey, I'm going to send this quick text message."
Yeah, because she had a ring on, so...
Oh, even worse.
Clearly.
He knew what he was signing up for.
If somebody said to me, "You have 2 texts," I'd say, "Give me that ring back."
That part.
There was also a woman nearby who just kept ranting and raving about how there was a bottle of wine that she liked, and that was cheaper than anything she normally drinks, and she surprised her sophisticated palate likes it. Ma'am, sit down, have a seat, go home, get your box of Franzia out, and go sip it with your dog, okay? Like, don't act like that. And listen, I'm not hating on Franzia. I've drank a lot of it in my life, okay? But, like, drink what you like. Whatever tastes good. It doesn't matter about the price point. That just tells me you're trying to be a bougie bitch, and clearly you're not. So, like, no, not today.
Mine's going to have to be something that you just told me about, and I had to switch this up a little bit. When somebody randomly sends you a message that we haven't heard from in quite a while, and they ask, "Hey, what's going on?" And your response was, "Oh, we're just working on stuff for the podcast." And their response was, "What? A podcast? What do you even talk about?" And you could just hear the sarcasm in the message because you just know that's the kind of negativity they have in their life. So my immediate response was, "Ya mama." I didn't actually say that, and it's not about his actual mother, obviously. But don't come for us. It's just a figure of speech. And while we're here talking about random things that we say, like "ya mama," let's talk about the term bitch. It's really a term of endearment. It's really not meant to be derogatory. If it is, you'll know it. Trust me. So don't get offended if I throw a bitch in there every once in a while. Because it's really not meant in a negative light. And like I said, if it is, trust me, you'll know. So not today with you shaming us about our podcast, because I will say to you, "Ya mama, bitch." And that's not in the endearment form, FYI.
Yeah, because if we don't like you, it's going to be something way worse than bitch.
Way worse than bitch, okay?
All right, y'all. Grab a drink because Sip Happens is taking a turn down a road that many, many, many of you have been interested in hearing about.
That's right. We're going to start down the thruple road. And did you notice the title? It's our 3rd episode, and we're talking about thruples. It really wasn't planned that way, but that's the way it worked out. So, you're welcome.
we're going to chat about what a throuple is to us.
And how that may be different from what other people's throuple relationship is.
Either way, we'll talk about the good, the spicy, the confusing, and the beautiful, and pretty much everything in between.
In full transparency, we are not currently in a throuple relationship.
We have had some success and some failures, which we'll come to over time, but we want you to understand the basics of it all at first.
People ask us all the time, how does that even work?
And my answer is always the same, just like a couple, but there's just 3 of us.
So let's talk about what a throuple is for us. Like Ben said, we treat this as a traditional relationship with 2 people. There's just 3 of us. We want our partner to be considered an equal life partner. We don't like the term third because that implies that there's a ranking, and I'm not here for the ranks. And that's really just not the dynamic that we're going for.
Although there are some thruples that do have that dynamic, and that's what works for them. And that's perfectly fine. That's just not our vibe.
Agreed. To be honest, we put our relationship on the back burner a little bit, if you will, because we get nourishment out of our relationship from the relationship with our partner. So we just don't focus solely on ourselves.
Which is sometimes a challenge because we've been together for 16 years. So that's very intimidating for most people, especially in the gay community. 16 years is pretty much unheard of.
So today we're going to dig into the details a little more and share our experience with a multi-partner relationship. So let's start with the beginning. Let's call it BB, if you will. That's before Ben. I had recently come to the realization of my sexuality, and I was no longer denying it. You know, coming out of the closet, if you will. And I was
nobody knew.
Okay, fine, bitch. A little bit of endearment there, bitch. Anyways, I was exploring the opportunities that were around, and then I met a couple. They were older than me, had a nice established life, one that I hoped that I would have one day. And they invited me over for some wine. I had a work event later in the evening and thought I would stop by for a glass of wine. It was nice wine, at least to the Franzia white Zinfandel that I was accustomed to drinking anyways. So don't come for Franzia because I too have had plenty of it in my life.
Oh, I know.
I know. Anyways, it was fun. I thoroughly enjoyed spending time with both of them. Later, we had some dinner. We went out together, had some fun together. It was just a lot of fun and really enjoyable. Something I'd never experienced before, and I was kind of here for it. Until it kind of fizzled away. I'm not sure if it was just me or if one partner had more of a connection than the other, or if it was mutually decided that it wasn't working out, or if it was just a moment in time. Regardless, I did enjoy it. At the end of the day, it fizzled away, which opened the door for Ben and I obviously was head over heels for him, so it all worked out. So after Ben and I had been together for a little while, I mentioned this past relationship, or I guess the younger generations may call it a situationship. I'm really not sure what you would call it, if you would even call it anything at all.
So this bitch comes to me and says, I was in a throuple before you, and I really think that we should talk about it, and this could be a journey for us. And I said, not today. And I was like, no, absolutely not. No, that's not normal. That's not absolutely I'm not enough for you. I really, really struggled with that. And finally, he was like, okay, that's enough. We don't need to talk about it anymore.
Because I'm not trying to lose this boy, okay?
So some time passed by, and I was kind of raised on don't ask questions, just kind of do as you're told. I mean, we can ask questions, but if it was important topics like religion, politics, those kinds of things, you don't ask questions. You just do what your grandparents did, that type of vibe. So the more it kind of ate away at me, I thought, really I should do my due diligence to try and figure out what kind of opinion I have on all of this. And so I did that, but I didn't tell anybody. So I listened to podcasts, I read books, I did anything and everything that was out there. YouTube, literally anything because Dustin was in school full time and I worked first shift. So we had a lot of time. Well, I mean, he worked full time and then he also was in school full time. So I had a lot of time on my hands. So I put the Real Housewives on the back burner and did all of this research. And I would kind of like, I would be very judgy about all of it. And then I would tell myself I need to sit and think about it and kind of ponder over it and see how I felt about it tomorrow. And then I would talk to some people about it and see kind of what their reaction was and kind of go from there. So finally, when I had viewed and made my full opinion of it, I sat Dustin down and I was like, hey, just FYI. And he was pretty shocked.
Yeah, I had no idea any of this was going on, obviously, because I had school that I was working on. I was working full time and also still trying to help as much as I could do around the house. So he did this completely on his own, unannounced, had no clue this was going on. So after he finally had that conversation, we took some time. And then we finally started exploring options for someone that we could share life with. And let's just say that being gay is really fun, especially seeking an additional partner, because if someone's flirting with you, you get to figure out, are they bored flirting, friend flirting, or flirt flirting? And if they're flirt flirting, are they hookup flirting or dating flirting? And apparently it's just a never ending, exhausting cycle. So let's just start with saying that this is not at all a band-aid for a relationship, which is a huge common misconception when people find out that we're interested in being in a throuple. Our relationship is extremely strong, and I cannot imagine my life without Ben in it. So he's not going anywhere. Surprise. Before we started on this journey, we vowed that this would not make us lose what we have together. If it works, we have to have honesty, we have to have communication, and lots of love. And it would never, ever jeopardize our relationship together. This is meant to be an added bonus, not something to tear us apart. Although some people may want that to happen because it will make them right.
Yeah, there are definitely some people out there that want or wish our relationship would dissolve because it would match their dynamic. And yet we are trying to establish a multi partner relationship. Even to the point when we broke up many of years ago, there were people who loved the fact on Facebook when it would pop up and say, no longer in a relationship, and they hearted it. So if you're listening, surprise bitches, I'm still here.
I can't. Anyways, this is not an open relationship, at least not for us. Again, some may want that dynamic, but it's not what we are looking for. We are more along the lines of a closed polyamorous relationship, which polyamory also has many different definitions as well, and it works for many people. This is our definition of a polyamorous relationship. 3 of us living our lives to the fullest.
There are definitely a lot of people out there that think we're just looking for a good time. And trust me, we could do that. But we want more than that. There needs to be communication there. Myth number 1, it's just a big old fuck fest.
False. It's much more than that. It's love, it's commitment, it's figuring out who is going to take out the trash. It's not a menage a trois, although sex is great, obviously. But the intimacy of knowing someone versus just a random threesome is so much hotter. I guess you could say that we're more demisexual, where we prioritize developing more of an emotional connection with someone before it becomes intimate.
It's an emotional labor times 3. And it's also triple the love, triple the support, triple the snuggles, or at least someone else for Dustin to sweat on.
Leave me alone.
Some people think we're also just desperate and we have no other options. And let me just tell you, that is the furthest from the truth. Some people just think because we're out looking for a polyamorous relationship, that's an automatic end to this. And that's not the case either. Just because I engage conversation with you does not automatically put you in a life partner status.
We're actually pretty picky. Sure, we could find someone that just wants their idea of this, if you will. But I need more than that. I need this to be something that is beneficial for all of us and that we are all on board with. So let's jump into some questions that we've been asked over the years.
So, do you find yourself jealous in a throuple relationship?
For me, I would say not generally, um, because I think we set ourselves up for that to not happen. In fact, I think I might have the opposite of jealousy. Um, what I mean is, I'm always on the lookout for opportunities. As an example, if we're in a group chat and me and the other person are having conversation, I'm looking to Ben like, you gonna chime in or nah? And that's sometimes doesn't work in my favor. However, it comes from a good place, and I just want everyone to feel included and to be involved in the conversation.
Okay, but also you're kind of a serial texter, so there's that.
You're not wrong. My standpoint is if they're available to text, I don't know how long that window will last. So I'm going to get in as much as I can in that window. But I am trying to be better about that. Um, it's not easy because I do like a little attention, which is sometimes surprising to people because I've been told that I'm difficult to approach. Um, but I also have to say that professional attention and personal attention are two very, very different things. That comment is for some of y'all that are listening that we have met through work and know that I'm not such a lovey-dovey person when I'm at work.
Surprise.
Anyways, what's your take on jealousy?
I think there have definitely been times that I was jealous early on because I was still trying to understand the full dynamic of everything. But I think over time I've definitely learned that that's not really the case anymore. Usually it's just I don't know. I guess watching like y'all if when there's someone brings me joy because y'all are connecting and you're thriving and all the things, and maybe it's something that I honestly don't want to do, and that's perfectly fine with me. So I think seeing that you two are filling each other's cups kind of fills my cup, and then that just makes a good environment for all of our cups filled to live our best life.
No, I agree with that. I think it's something that is definitely a struggle and something that we continually work on because I think there could be types of jealousy, if you will, but it's not always the true definition of jealousy. If that probably doesn't make any sense, but it does in my brain. So, how do we like to spend time together when there's three of us?
Usually we do most of everything together unless there's just something that someone's busy doing something else, or if it's something that they don't want to do. Like, for instance, I'm a big horror movie fan, and that's not Dustin's vibe.
At all.
So, if we're dating somebody who that is their vibe, then that's great. We can do that together. Or maybe it's something like, what is that hard festival you enjoy going to with the turkey leg?
Well, I don't enjoy the festival itself. It's the Renaissance Festival because it's kind of weird, but I do love a turkey leg.
Yeah, I don't like that shit. So if it's something like that where they are all about it, then please go eat your turkey legs in peace, and I will. Trust me, I will be fine here.
Ben does not like anything on a bone, so, well, any other meat on a bone. But so he's just not here for it. But a turkey leg is just so good. I don't know why. I haven't had one in a while. I need one.
All of that to say, normally we spend time together just like any normal couple would do. But of course, if someone's busy, then it's whatever. But also, if there's times where any of us need alone time, then we just voice that and have the open communication, and we get that. And then that gives time for them to miss the other or however it needs to go. Have you ever pretended not to be in a throuple in certain situations?
Not really, although it is a little situational. Um, However, I would never eliminate just our partner out of a throuple situation. It would be more of a holistic avoidance, not just the throuple. So if it's not safe for the throuple, I don't know that it's any safer to be a same-sex couple. So it's all or nothing. So we are a throuple or we are all friends if it comes to that. The caveat I think would be with our families, only because we have been burned in the past by some of our exes. Um, they were super supportive, surprisingly supportive, actually, of our first relationship where we finally, quote unquote, came out again. And when that ended, they were much more skeptical, even more so after our most recent relationship. So I don't know what that looks like in the future. I guess time will tell. And that's not family exclusive. We both have some family that will be super supportive no matter what. And there's other family that just won't be that supportive anymore. And it sucks for them, to be honest, because it's part of our life that they will be missing out on. Do you have any other thoughts or different answer?
No, I mean, I think you said that perfectly. I think in the beginning, in our first long relationship, I didn't really bring it up to my family because they can be a little judgmental of situations that don't look quote unquote normal.
Not your family.
Shocker. So I just didn't want to talk about it. We just kind of brought them around. We never put any label on it. It was just, hey, this is X, and here we are. And honestly, sometimes I felt like they liked him more than they liked me.
They definitely liked him more than me, that's for sure.
But I think that just helped them to get to know him for him. And that was all I wanted. I wasn't trying to keep secrets. I wasn't trying to be mischievous or anything like that. I just wanted them to honestly get to know that person the way I had and see how great he was. And if that hurt their feelings in the end, that was honestly never my intentions. I just wanted them to know him for him. And that was it.
And I also think that and I said earlier about calling each other friends, even in any situation, I try to avoid a title at all costs, because I know calling somebody that you're intimate and have a romantic relationship with, calling them a friend can sometimes be devastating. So I honestly would try to even avoid friend and just introduce them as their name and try to avoid any labels if at all possible.
And I think that's something we've always talked about with the other person we're dating too, to know, to kind of be like, set us up for if that ever comes to a place where we have to put some type of title on it that we're just not ready to give the full title on. How do we want to approach the situation? So I feel like that's just where the open communication kind of helps to know how we can label that if need be.
Yeah. I mean, communication is a huge deal in any relationship, much less when there's 3 people involved. So the next question is, how does sleeping work?
Well, many of you think that we just have bunk beds, and that's not the case.
We don't have bunk beds.
It's just one big old king size bed, and all of us in it. And we do have a sleep jet. So basically,
it's a bed jet, not a sleep jet.
Bed jet, sorry. So basically, what that is a machine that blows cool or warm air between the sheets, to keep everyone at a nice temperature. So this is good for when we are just a couple, and this is also even better for when we are a throuple, because Dustin is a space heater. I don't mind cuddling. I like cuddling sometimes, but if I'm warm, then it's not a pretty situation, because I get irritated and I get warm very easily. So that's where the bed jet comes into play.
And I don't like to be warm either. However, I do love a cuddle.
And however,
like an octopus.
Facts. However, when I do get warm, I'll still like touch you with a finger or a hand. I'm not like just
like your tip of your pinky finger.
Well,
I don't think that counts.
The tip of that pinky is the only thing that's hot, so it's what you're getting, and you're welcome.
I think you meant cool.
Whatever. Anyways, next question. Are there rules for dating or being intimate in our relationship?
Not really, as crazy as that sounds, just as long as it's mutually beneficial. It's never going to be outside of the relationship because we are closed. But if the time is right and all 3 of us aren't together, and that's not just sexual, that's any other activities or going out to dinner or whatever. If it's only 2 that are able or want to participate, then that's what it is. If it is sexual, then I just want some pics, okay? Wink, wink. What are your rules?
I think mine would be the same. It's just, I just don't want to feel like I was excluded and like it was a secret. So as long as I know, then that's perfectly fine. Just don't try and slip it under the rug.
Yeah, no, that's valid. Again, communication, overly communicating. What has surprised you most about how love works with three people?
I think honestly, just how rewarding it could be. Like I said earlier about everyone's cup being filled, I think it's one of those things where most people, like, for instance, when relationships haven't worked out in the past with an additional partner, people come to me and say, you don't need that, right? Well, okay, thanks. I never said that we did need it. It was something we wanted. So I think it's something where I'm happy and I don't need somebody else to make me happy. If I'm living and thriving, of course I want someone else to thrive with me and be on that journey, but I don't need someone else. So I think it's one of those things where as long as we're all, living our best lives, then we can fill each other's cups and be fulfilled and live our best life.
That's a good answer, and I would completely agree. But I'm going to have to ask another question because I think that you're better, or excuse me, your answer will be better anyways. How has communication changed between us being in a thruple? Are there regular check ins or is it more on the fly?
Well, it kind of depends. I think regular check-ins are definitely a good thing, just to be like this is a safe space and everyone can say what they mean. And if there are, like, for instance, if there are situations where somebody feels left out, of course we need to talk about it because that was never anybody's intentions. There were a few times early on where I brought things up, and then I learned that that was absolutely nobody's intention. Nobody else even realized it was happening. So I think it's good to talk about those types of things because then you can make sure that they don't happen again. Or if they do happen again, you know that that was not done intentionally towards you. I think, of course, it's always a safe space to talk about things. But of course, we have those regular check ins. Then I just feel like it's a little more on point for us all to check in and make sure we're all on the same page.
I think a good example of that is Ben is very selfless when it comes to certain things. Well, most things, honestly. He never puts himself first, which is something that he's working on,
There's that.
and I'm proud of him for that. But just a small example, obviously, riding in a car, there's only two people that can sit up front. Well, Ben always sits in the back seat because he wants the other person to feel included in the conversation, even if he's excluded by sitting in the back seat. Even our car has like the microphones or whatever in the front that projects the sound to the back. So that's sometimes helpful unless they're soft spoken or not talking directly forward. But regardless, he always tries to sit in the back because he just wants that other person to feel included and part of everything and not feel like the third wheel, even though there may be times in that same situation that he doesn't feel as included. So when that situation happens, it makes my heart very warm when that person sits in the back seat with Ben, so that he's included and they can have that intimate time, not just sexually, just other intimate hand holding, whatever, in the back seat. And I'm perfectly fine with that because, as you guys know from the last episode, I love to drive. I will always try to drive.
Shocker.
That's just my thing. So it really makes me happy when that other person sees that Ben is putting himself in the back seat, literally and not literally. And then they make that effort to include him in that. And I'm perfectly fine with that, especially if it's not initiated from me. Because there's times where I'll be like, why don't you sit in the back seat? But if that person just does it on their own, it really makes me happy, and I know it makes Ben happy.
Speaks a lot of volume for sure.
It does. So how do we celebrate anniversaries? Oh, that was your question. Sorry.
That was, but you go ahead and answer.
No. So I think that anniversaries, obviously we still recognize our anniversary. But when there is someone else in the picture, that anniversary becomes priority. Of course, we can't neglect the fact that we've been together for 16 years and been married for 8, 9 years. I don't know.
Almost 10.
Almost 10. That's right. October will be 10. Usually he's the one that forgets, so I'm surprised that I forgot.
So you're welcome.
Thanks.
In my defense, I asked him this week when our anniversary was because I was trying to plan a trip, and then I was like, "How many years is that?"
True.
So
You would think
that's how
it'd
I
be
know.
easy because it was 2015 and it's 2025. So
Well, I know like our dating anniversary, and I thought we'd never be able to get married, which hell may be taken away. Who knows? But like our dating one is always the main one I remember.
yeah, and we still celebrate that as well because again, it's a big deal. But if there is someone else in the picture, I don't think we put as much focus on it as we
No,
do otherwise.
We don't, but it still gets some focus.
Yeah.
And then if they have a big problem with that, I feel like that's also a big red flag.
A red flag because we're open and honest about everything when we are looking for a throuple. And that we have been together for 16 years and we've been married now for almost 10 years. And like we've said before, it's very intimidating for people, but we can't change it, nor would I want to change it even if I could. It's who we are. It's how we are. And you're being, I don't want to say asked into that, but
you're being welcomed.
You're being welcomed into it, and you should appreciate that.
Okay, would you continue searching for a throuple even after the breakups that we've had?
So that's a difficult question because initially I was like, nope, can't do this anymore, won't do this anymore. I'm so done with it. However, I then think about the joys that we've had and life experiences that we've had with other people in a relationship. And I don't want to burn that bridge if there's a potential with someone else in the future. So my first reaction is no, I don't want to continue because it's difficult, it's challenging. It's always, at this point, it's always ended miserably. And I don't know that it's worth it. But then I think back on the good times and it reminds me that it is absolutely worth it. And I think that it's kind of just who we are, not that we need it, because we definitely don't need it. We're completely happy, the two of us. It's just nice to have that other person to share life with. So I think it depends on the person, and I think it should always depend on the person. So won't say that it's out of the picture, just a little more cautious about it. What do you think?
Well, this is where that whole, if you remember back to the first episode where I talked about I don't really enjoy being vulnerable, that's kind of where this comes into play. Because talking about this has brought up some really good memories with people we've dated. So I'm sorry, this is a little harder than I thought it would be with this question. I definitely think I would continue that journey. We've had some really, really good times with some people. We've had some long relationships. Our longest we were with was 2 years. And at least a year and a half of that I wouldn't change for sure. I think there have also been those that have come in who have shown me some parts of me that I wasn't the biggest fan of. So that definitely helped me in my personal journey to figure out how to remove that. And that was really hard because, like Dustin said, I'm pretty selfless. So when someone else comes in and they need help or they want to be better, I will 100% lose myself trying to help them to be a better person and put me way far back. So that's definitely a journey where I am trying, and I've come a long way, but trying to make sure that I put myself first at all times. And then there have been some relationships where there's one, we'll just refer to him as the one that got away, and he helped me really come out of my shell and be super vulnerable and show me that being vulnerable is okay and it's showing your strength. So of course I wouldn't change that for the world. So when I've had experiences like that and had more love than I knew what to do with, why would I not want to continue that journey? because, and there have definitely been some bad things that have happened that could cover that and make me think we shouldn't continue down this path. But you can't live your life in fear, and you can't live your life in not knowing the unknown. So I would like to think that there's still more out there, and there's still good journeys for us to go down with all of this, and that there's still more. I know I have more love to give, so I would like to hope that there's more love out there for us to receive also.
Hey, I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
And I love you.
I love you.
Well, that took a different turn. So, anyways, back to the questions. Who makes the first move?
Well, I think it's more of whoever feels it's just the right time to go for it. What do you have to lose kind of deal? Yeah. Okay, so let me drop these tears. I think it's time for a snack. So let's talk about some food.
All right, so this week we're going to have our bite of the week be snack related. So, what's been our go to snack this week? Well, we know for Ben it's not Cloud with a K protein popcorn.
Oh my God, I'm still sad about that. And I just dried up my tears. So why would you bring that up?
I'm just saying. So, what's yours this week?
Okay, so my snack of the week is something that I stockpiled from Trader Joe's.
Literally, we bought all that they had.
If you're friends with me on the socials, you probably saw my stories about it. So Trader Joe's had a Cashel blue cheese Irish potato chip. I saw it on TikTok. We drove to Trader Joe's. This has been since we've been in Atlanta. I guess it was like the end of last year, probably.
Yeah, so it was probably end of October, first part of November when we were first introduced to them.
And I just bought one little bag.
Because we love a blue cheese.
Like, I can eat blue cheese by the handfuls with a glass of red wine. Like, that just pairs well. And just all the blue cheese. Creamy, crumbly, all the things. And so I bought a bag. We brought them home. And I opened them up before we even got... Well, we have an incredibly long walk from the parking deck to our apartment. So I got a little hungry. Anyways, I opened them up. And I was like, we should go back, but they're closed. They are from heaven. They're just the perfect blend of crisp and they're rigid, whatever.
Yeah, they're ridges. They're like the ridges, like the wavy type potato chip, not like the ruffles. So they're the bigger wavy potato chips.
They're delicious. And by the time I had discovered this on my way back to the apartment, Trader Joe's was closed. Wah wah. So the next day, I made Dustin drive me back. This was also the same time Jingle Jangle was out.
That's true.
Which, if you've not had Jingle Jangle, honey,
don't pair the two together because you will eat the whole bag and the whole container of Jingle Jangle and the blue cheese potato chips.
And then your clothes won't fit. So there's that. So we went back the next day, and I bought every single bag of Trader Joe's blue cheese Irish potato chips I had, which it was like 8 bags. They're not super big.
Yeah, they're not super big. They're like probably bigger than like the smaller bag of potato chips, but not quite as big as like whatever the bigger size is that you get at like the gas station. So they're like the small one, but they're not the big one of the snack size. It's kind of in between. So it's not a full bag of potato chips regardless.
They're just from heaven.
They are from heaven. And the cashier recognized us when we came back in. She was like, "Oh, so you're back today and you are buying more."
Hey, girl, hey.
But in our defense, she did tell us. She was like, "Have you had these before? Because they're really good."
And
Bitch wasn't lying.
And she said, "You'll be back."
Yeah.
She just didn't realize it would be the next day. And it would have been the same night if it would have allowed. But so we eat them very sparingly. We keep them in the guest closet.
Like, we had a pool party yesterday and we had to get the blue cheese Irish chips off the top of because they're in a little like collapsible cube in the shelf in the closet, and we had to pull out the potato chips to get to our swimmies to go to the pool party.
Welcome to apartment life.
Something we're still getting used to.
So I saw all my family this weekend. It was like the first time in like 6 or 7 months. And my sister had asked me for a bag. And even when I went in there to get her bag, I'm like, should I do this? Should I allow her for this? Do I love her that much? And I was like, oh, of course I do here.
It was really a debate.
It really was. But update, I texted her tonight and I was like, have you eaten them? And she was like, oh my God, they're amazing. And I was like, oh, you better enjoy them. If not, mail them back to me for real.
So she did ask Trader Joe's last time she was in there because they are not on the shelves anymore. Apparently, it's a winter selection. So look for them late fall, early winter of 2025. I hope they're back. If not, they will be getting an email daily from Benjamin Patterson, I'm sure. So my snack of the week is we were at the Kroger this week and looking for snacks because our snacks had run out, just the basics, some extra toasty Cheez-Its. Ben wanted the cheddar jack or something. I'm just fine with the regular ones, but he wanted the other ones anyways. Some Triscuits, some Wheat Thins, whatever. And then we saw some spicy dill pickle goldfish. I love a dill pickle.
And they're super crispy.
They're so crispy. And they've got just enough spice to them that it's not overpowering, but you get that little heat in your mouth. And then the dill pickle flavoring on them is absolutely amazing.
And they have a kick.
They do have a little kick. So if you are not a spicy person, maybe they're not for you. But if you want to try them and you don't like them, I'll gladly take them off your hands as long as you close them up properly and they're not stale. Because I'm a stickler about closing up some snacks.
Yeah, there's a certain fold, and if you don't do it, you'll get in trouble.
You will get in trouble because that keeps it the freshest. It's a triangle down. So fold one side over, fold the other side over, make a perfect triangle, and then fold that down tightly.
So this is why I buy the OXO containers now with the pop lid.
So
because I'm not getting in trouble for this little fancy fold and tuck.
Anyways, it's just part of who I am. He's learned to deal with it in other ways, apparently, and still here.
That part.
Okay, so a couple closing thoughts. A thruple for us means choosing love that fits us. It's not always easy, but it's worth it when it's built on love, communication, lots of laughter, and for me, lots and lots of cuddles. Maybe love is different for you. Just find what works for you, regardless of what that looks like, and fuck what other people think.
Which is a good point to recognize that as we're wrapping up. May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month. Love yourself first and always. Be open to honest communication and remind each other that that's okay, and it's okay to not be okay. Mental health affects every part of our lives: relationships, work, creativity, and even now with love. Whether you're navigating anxiety, setting boundaries, going to therapy, or just taking a breath, it all matters. You are not alone. We are here rooting for you, and you've got this.
So subscribe, follow, like, or whatever your app tells you to do just to keep in the know about us. And just don't forget, you've got our DMs, you've got our email at Sip.HappensPodcast@outlook.com for your questions, comments, or just to talk. We're here for you.
So thanks for stopping by and listening to Sip Happens. Can't wait until next time to see what other random things we figure out to talk about.
Bye.